Nicklas Bendtner. The incident occurred on June 13th, 2012, during a high-stakes Euro 2012 group stage clash between Denmark and Portugal in Lviv, Ukraine. The match was a thrilling back-and-forth affair, with Denmark fighting desperately to claw back a deficit. Late in the game, star striker Nicklas Bendtner rose to the occasion, heading home a dramatic second goal to level the score at 2-2. The celebration, however, would overshadow the goal itself. Overcome with excitement, Bendtner lowered his shorts slightly and lifted his jersey, deliberately revealing the waistband of his lucky green and white underpants. Emblazoned across the fabric was the logo of the Irish betting firm Paddy Power. This was no wardrobe malfunction. It was a brazen act of ambush marketing, orchestrated to bypass official sponsorship rights. UEFA, fiercely protective of its commercial partners, reacted with immediate severity. While the referee took no action on the pitch, the disciplinary body hit Bendtner with a staggering €100,000 fine and a one-match competitive ban. The financial penalty sparked global outrage regarding UEFA's priorities. To put the number in perspective, in 2012, the standard fine for football associations, whose fans screamed racist abuse at players, was often around €20,000. Bendtner was fined 5 times more for displaying unauthorised underwear than nations were for racism, highlighting that in modern football, protecting commercial revenue streams often takes precedence over social sensitivities. Cristiano Ronaldo. The dramatic clash took place on March 12, 2019, during a highly anticipated Champions League last 16-second leg between Juventus and Atlético Madrid in Turin. Juventus had suffered a 2-0 defeat in the first leg, largely down to the defensive masterclass of Atlético and the fiery tactics of manager Diego Simeone. Simeone had infamously celebrated one of his team's goals in Madrid by turning to the stands and grabbing his crotch, an act for which he was fined. Cristiano Ronaldo, desperate to overturn the deficit, delivered a legendary performance, scoring a phenomenal hat-trick to power Juventus to a 3-0 victory and a dramatic 3-2 aggregate win. The defining moment of revenge came after Ronaldo scored his decisive third goal from the penalty spot. Seeking to rub the defeat directly into the face of the rival manager, Ronaldo sprinted toward the Juventus fans, turned and mirrored Simeone's exact crude celebration, repeatedly grabbing his crotch while facing the Atlético section. The gesture was a direct, calculated provocation. UEFA immediately launched an investigation. Despite the huge stakes of the match, UEFA ruled the act an obscene gesture and deemed it improper conduct. Ronaldo was subsequently hit with a €20,000 fine, mirroring the exact punishment that Simeone had received just weeks earlier, confirming that even the game's biggest star could not escape retribution for publicly displayed vulgarity. Wayne Rooney swearing into the camera. The incident occurred on April 2nd, 2011, during a fiercely contested Premier League clash between Manchester United and West Ham United at the Berlin ground. The title race was at a critical point, and United found themselves unexpectedly trailing 2-0 early in the match. The atmosphere was highly charged, and the pressure on the United players, particularly star striker Wayne Rooney, was immense. Rooney eventually mounted a spectacular comeback, scoring his third goal, a decisive strike, in the 79th minute to complete a stunning hat-trick and put United 4-2 up. The goal relieved the massive pressure, leading to an immediate explosive release of tension. Rooney sprinted directly toward the pitchside camera and, staring straight down the lens, shouted a string of expletives in an aggressive outburst, aimed at no one in particular, but meant to express his sheer relief and defiance. Though Rooney claimed his actions were born of overwhelming excitement, the words were clearly audible to television viewers globally. The FA immediately reviewed the footage, classifying the action as using offensive, insulting or abusive language, and bringing the game into disrepute. Rooney was handed an immediate 2-match ban and a hefty fine. The punishment sent a clear message that despite the high emotion, players must maintain decorum and respect the viewing public, particularly those watching at home. Merih Demiral. Wolf Salute, the match between Turkey and Austria in the knockout stages of Euro 2024, was one of the most intense fixtures of the tournament. Played under the heavy rain in Leipzig, the stakes were incredibly high, with a place in the quarterfinals on the line. Turkish defender Merih Demiral became the hero of the night, scoring twice. His second goal, a towering header in the 59th minute, proved decisive in a 2-1 victory. However, his celebration instantly ignited a diplomatic firestorm that transcended sport, running to the corner flag to face the Turkish fans. Demiral raised both hands to perform the Wolf Salute. This gesture is directly associated with the Grey Wolves, a Turkish far-right ultranationalist group monitored in Germany for extremism. While Demiral claimed it was merely an expression of Turkish pride, the host nation and UEFA viewed it as a provocative political symbol. The backlash was swift. Nancy Faeser, the German Interior Minister, publicly condemned the act, prompting Ankara to summon the German ambassador. UEFA launched an immediate investigation and, adhering to strict rules against political messaging, handed Demiral a 2-match ban. The punishment was devastating for the team. Their star defender was forced to watch from the sidelines as Turkey was eliminated by the Netherlands in the very next round, proving that a fleeting hand gesture can have massive competitive consequences. Idan Toklomati. The incident occurred in the 2025 season, featuring Charlotte FC against a regional rival. The game was locked in a bitter 1-1 struggle, with Charlotte FC's young attacking player Idan Toklomati being relentlessly targeted by the opposition's fans for perceived prior misconduct. With the pressure mounting late in the second half, Toklomati finally found a decisive moment. He received a pass at the edge of the box and expertly slotted the ball home, securing the go-ahead goal to make the score 2-1. The goal was crucial, but his celebration immediately shifted the focus. Overcome with defiance and emotion, Toklomati sprinted toward the corner flag near the rival supporters section, turned his back to the crowd, and performed an aggressive, extended twerking dance. The highly sexual and provocative display was an obvious retort to the abuse he had faced. The referee, citing unsporting and offensive conduct, immediately issued a yellow card. However, MLS took a harsher view. Reviewing the footage, the league condemned the gesture for inciting hostility and violating standards of professional conduct. Toklomati was handed a 3-match suspension and a substantial fine. The MLS emphasised that players cannot use sexually explicit or provocative celebrations to retaliate against fans, turning a match-winning moment into a serious disciplinary embarrassment. Josip Šimunić, pro-Nazi chants. The scene was the Maksimir Stadium in Zagreb on November 19th, 2013, moments after Croatia defeated Iceland in a dramatic playoff to secure their qualification for the 2014 FIFA World Cup in Brazil. The atmosphere was celebratory chaos, but it quickly became stained by extreme political ideology. Defender Josip Šimunić, a veteran of the national team, seized the microphone and ran onto the pitch to address the jubilant fans. Instead of a simple patriotic cheer, Šimunić led the crowd in a deeply controversial exchange. He repeatedly shouted the phrase, "Za dom," to which the crowd roared back. This chant, "Za dom spremni," was the official salute of the Ustaše regime, which governed the Nazi-allied puppet state of Croatia during World War II and was responsible for numerous atrocities. Though Šimunić initially claimed he was simply expressing patriotism, his actions were immediately condemned as propagating fascist ideology. FIFA launched a rapid and severe investigation, ruling that the act violated their code against racism and political demonstration. The punishment was absolute. Šimunić was banned for 10 competitive matches, including the entire 2014 World Cup, and fined 30,000 Swiss francs. This career-ending ban for an off-pitch celebration sent an unmistakable global message against the use of sport to glorify historical hate speech. Arda Turan, military salute. The incident occurred on October 11th, 2019, during a highly charged Euro 2020 qualifier between Turkey and Albania in Istanbul. This was no ordinary match. It took place just days after Turkey launched a highly controversial military offensive into northern Syria. The atmosphere was intensely nationalistic, and the actions of the national team were under immediate political scrutiny. The game was a tense, frustrating affair, seemingly headed for a goalless draw until the 90th minute. Defender Cenk Tosun finally broke the deadlock, scoring a dramatic late winner that sent the home crowd into a frenzy. The celebration was immediate and orchestrated. Instead of a typical embrace, Tosun ran to the corner flag, where he was joined by nearly all of his teammates, including captain Arda Turan. They lined up shoulder to shoulder and, facing the Turkish supporters, performed a synchronised military salute. This was a deliberate, collective gesture of support for the Turkish armed forces and the ongoing military operation. UEFA rules strictly forbid the use of the pitch for political statements. The organisation quickly launched an investigation into the potential provocative political context of the salute. While the players claimed it was an apolitical gesture of patriotism, UEFA charged the Turkish Federation with potential political provocation and subsequently banned the players from repeating the salute. This collective act put football directly into the centre of a major international political conflict, drawing widespread condemnation across Europe. Cristiano Ronaldo. The dramatic encounter was the first leg of the 2017 Spanish Super Cup on August 13th, 2017, a high-stakes post-season Clásico against bitter rivals Barcelona at the Camp Nou. The match was already a physical and ferocious battle. With the score tied 1-1, Cristiano Ronaldo, having been introduced as a substitute, was determined to make a decisive impact against his rivals. In the 85th minute, the moment arrived. Ronaldo received the ball outside the box, took a touch, and unleashed a spectacular, curling shot that flew past Marc-Andre ter Stegen and into the top corner. It was a stunning, match-winning goal. His celebration was pure theatre. He sprinted to the sideline, and in a deliberate act of defiant showmanship, he ripped off his Real Madrid shirt and held it up to the stunned Camp Nou crowd. He then turned to face the cameras and flexed his muscles in a powerful, provocative pose. The referee immediately produced the yellow card for two separate violations bundled into one. First, for unsporting behaviour, and second, for provocation and excessive celebration. Compounding the issue, Ronaldo received a second yellow card just 2 minutes later for simulation, resulting in a crucial red card and a 5-match domestic ban, making the muscular celebration one of the most infamously consequential bookings of his career. Andrés Iniesta, Dani Jarque dedication. The moment occurred on the grandest stage in football, the 2010 FIFA World Cup final between Spain and the Netherlands in Johannesburg, South Africa. The match was an extraordinarily physical and nervous battle, dragged into extra time with the score stubbornly locked at 0-0. The weight of Spanish history, seeking its first ever World Cup title, rested on the players. In the 116th minute, Andrés Iniesta finally broke the deadlock, smashing the winning goal past Martin Stekelenburg. The stadium and the Spanish nation erupted. Iniesta, overcome with emotion, launched into a celebration far more profound than simple joy. He immediately removed his shirt, revealing a white undershirt with a handwritten message. Dani Jarque, siempre con nosotros. Dani Jarque, always with us. Jarque, a close friend and former Espanyol captain, had tragically died the previous year from a heart attack. It was a beautiful, personal tribute witnessed by 1 billion people. Despite the deeply poignant context, the referee, adhering strictly to IFAB Law 4 against displaying unauthorised messages on undershirts, had no choice but to issue a yellow card. Though the caution was met with sympathy worldwide, FIFA rules prioritising the control of messaging meant the goal scorer of the final was officially booked for his heartfelt act of remembrance, making it one of the most bittersweet cautions in history. Vincent Aboubakar. The match was the final group stage clash at the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar, featuring Cameroon against giants Brazil. Cameroon needed a miracle win to have any hope of progressing, while Brazil had already qualified. The game was played under intense pressure for the African side, and captain Vincent Aboubakar was fighting desperately to secure a historic result. The clock had ticked past the 90th minute, and the score remained locked at 0-0. Then, in the 90th second minute, Aboubakar broke away and scored a brilliant, looping header to stun the Brazilian defence and snatch a dramatic, improbable winner. The stadium exploded. Overcome with the significance of the goal, Aboubakar launched into an ecstatic celebration. He immediately ripped off his shirt, sprinting away in pure, unadulterated euphoria. Crucially, the referee had already issued Aboubakar a yellow card earlier in the match. The official had no choice but to strictly enforce IFAB Law 12, which mandates an automatic yellow card for removing the shirt. The second yellow card meant an immediate red card and his dismissal from the pitch. Aboubakar, smiling, accepted the banishment, knowing his heroic goal had secured the legendary victory. The image of the captain scoring the winner against Brazil, celebrating so hard he earned a red card, became an iconic symbol of passion, overriding discipline at the World Cup. Lionel Messi. The stakes could not have been higher on April 23, 2017, during a ferocious El Clasico derby between Real Madrid and Barcelona at the Santiago Bernabeu. With the score tied 2-2 in injury time, the match was headed for a draw that would have virtually handed the La Liga title to Real Madrid. The atmosphere was a cauldron of sound, anxiety, and rising hostility. Then, in the 92nd minute, Lionel Messi delivered a moment of pure brilliance, sweeping a dramatic, match-winning shot into the bottom corner. The goal was the final act of the game, sealing a stunning 3-2 victory for Barcelona. Messi's celebration was iconic, freezing the Bernabeu in stunned silence. Instead of celebrating with his teammates, he ran toward the touchline, removed his Barcelona shirt, and held it up with both hands, turning his back to the stunned Madrid fans. The gesture prominently displayed his name and number directly toward the opposition stand, a direct, triumphant act of defiance and arrogance. The referee immediately issued a yellow card for removing his shirt, which is an automatic offence under IFAB Law 12. The act, while penalised, became one of the most famous images of the rivalry, showcasing the ultimate psychological dominance of a player, making a bold visual statement of superiority deep in the territory of his fiercest rivals. Jamie Vardy, corner flag destruction. The match occurred on December 6th, 2020 at Bramall Lane. Leicester City faced Sheffield United in a gritty Premier League contest that appeared destined for a draw. The game was tight, physical, and lacking in quality, with the score locked at 1-1 as the clock ticked into the final minute. Jamie Vardy, Leicester's relentless talisman, had been waiting all game for a single opportunity to break the deadlock. In the 90th minute, the chance arrived. Vardy raced onto a through ball, bearing down on goal with his trademark pace before coolly curling a finish into the far corner to snatch a 2-1 victory. But it was his celebration that became an instant viral sensation. Instead of hugging his teammates, Vardy sprinted directly toward the corner flag at full speed. In a moment of chaotic, unhinged energy, he launched himself into a 2-footed slide tackle on the flag post. The plastic pole, unable to withstand the impact, shattered instantly, sending the flag flying into the air. It was a moment of pure, destructive theatre that perfectly encapsulated Vardy's aggressive playing style. Referee Stuart Atwell, however, had to act. Destroying match equipment is a clear violation of the laws regarding unsporting behaviour. Vardy was immediately issued a yellow card, while the ground staff scrambled to replace the broken pole. The booking was inevitable, but the image of the shattered flag became one of the defining symbols of Vardy's career, a player who plays, scores, and celebrates on the absolute edge. Raheem Sterling, the red card winner. The incident took place on August 26, 2017, at the Vitality Stadium during a chaotic early-season Premier League fixture. Manchester City, desperate for points, found themselves locked in a frustrating 1-1 stalemate with a resilient Bournemouth side. The match had spilled deep into stoppage time, with 5 minutes added on, but play continued into the 97th minute due to earlier delays. The tension was suffocating as City launched one final attack. Raheem Sterling received the ball inside the box and scuffed a shot that took a wicked deflection, looping into the far corner. It was a scrappy but vital 97th minute winner. The relief was explosive. Sterling immediately sprinted toward the travelling City fans packed in the away end. In the delirium, He crossed the advertising hoardings and celebrated amidst the surging crowd, with fans spilling onto the pitch in pure ecstasy. However, referee Mike Dean was strictly following the letter of the law. While the celebration was a moment of genuine passion, IFAB Law 12 mandates an automatic caution for climbing onto a perimeter fence or entering the spectator area. As the chaos subsided, Dean called Sterling over. Having already been booked earlier in the match, Sterling was shown a second yellow card, followed immediately by a red. He had gone from scoring the match-winning goal to being sent off in less than 60 seconds, proving that even the most dramatic last-minute winners do not grant immunity from the strict rules of conduct. Wayne Rooney, the knockout punch. The setting was Old Trafford during a competitive Premier League fixture in March 2015. Days before the match, photos had surfaced in the media purporting to show Wayne Rooney being knocked unconscious by former teammate Phil Bardsley during a playful boxing sparring session at home. The media speculation regarding the severity of the injury and the incident was immense, putting Rooney under scrutiny. When Manchester United faced Tottenham Hotspur, Rooney emphatically silenced the critics by scoring a brilliant solo goal. His celebration was an immediate, calculated retort to the entire media circus. Rooney ran to the corner flag, executed a mock collapse onto the ground, and lay still, with teammates rushing over to feign checking on his condition. The act was theatrical, mocking the rumour of his knockout punch and showing that he was fighting fit. The referee immediately issued Rooney a yellow card. The caution was applied under IFAB Law 12, citing excessive and provocative celebration that mocked an opponent or brought the game into disrepute. Rooney's willingness to use the match to directly confront and ridicule his own negative media coverage resulted in an inevitable booking for unsporting theatrics. Peter Crouch, the full robot. The unusual celebration became the signature move of tall striker Peter Crouch, while performing the rigid, jerky robot dance often went unpunished. There was increased scrutiny after IFAB directives cracked down on excessive. A famous instance of it, drawing a card, occurred during the 2006 World Cup qualifying stage, but the spirit of the caution was applied domestically. During a 2006 Premier League match for Liverpool, Crouch scored a late goal. He immediately launched into the full choreographed dance, spending several seconds rigidly moving his limbs in the iconic machine-like routine. The referee, citing the directive against overly choreographed or lengthy celebrations that waste time or delay the restart, issued Crouch a yellow card. While the crowd adored the unique, humorous dance, the caution confirmed that any extended, rehearsed routine that goes beyond immediate, spontaneous joy can be deemed unsporting. Crouch's dance was too perfect, too long, and too theatrical, proving that even a celebration rooted in self-deprecating humour could fall foul of the rules designed to keep the game flowing. Marco Materazzi. The atmosphere at the San Siro was typically fervent during a mid-season 2007 Serie A match featuring Inter Milan. Known for his aggressive defence and fiery temperament, Marco Materazzi was an imposing figure on the pitch. Inter was fighting hard to secure a crucial win, and the game was a physically demanding battle against their determined opponents. Late in the second half, Materazzi found himself in an unlikely goal-scoring position from a corner kick and managed to head the ball powerfully into the net, sealing the victory for the Nerazzurri. The stadium erupted. In the midst of the chaotic celebration, a lone Inter fan, overcome with joy and adrenaline, managed to evade the stewards and invade the pitch, sprinting directly toward the celebrating players. Instead of pushing the fan away or ignoring him, the standard correct protocol, Materazzi, in a completely uncharacteristic moment of warmth and spontaneous emotion, ran toward the intruder and scooped him up in a massive bear hug. While the gesture was pure, spontaneous joy, the referee had to strictly enforce the rules. Materazzi was immediately issued a yellow card under Law 12 for the offence of leaving the field of play to celebrate, an offence technically grouped with climbing fences or excessive conduct. Although the moment of connection with the supporter was cherished by fans, the booking underscored football's hard line. Players must never encourage pitch invasion or interact with trespassers, regardless of the emotional context.